What is up, YouTube family? How are you doing? Are you good? I hope that you are. Also, I just want to state for the record that I am not going to push my Twitch channel on this video, okay? Because, at least for today, I don't want you to follow me on twitch.tv/JimmyConrad. Just don't do it, because it's not very cool to hang out with me for hours and hours at a time when you can have me for 10 minutes right here for previews and predictions. And first up is Manchester United versus Chelsea, which, even though the result of this game could have significant implications on the table at the end of the season, it feels more like a dress rehearsal for the League Cup final in 2 weeks' time, which, I don't know if you saw my tweet or not, but I said that Gonzalo Higuain was gonna come to Chelsea from AC Milan and score the game winner in this game. And yes, I know Higuain is notorious for not scoring in big finals, but he's not playing for his country this time. He's not playing for Argentina, so maybe it is possible. Slightly possible, but if it does happen, you can be damn sure that I'm never gonna let you forget it, because I am the predicting god. I am the predicting genius. And also, there's another thing that I never let you forget. Roll the clip.
Number 4 for the United States. Lennon sends it in, the header, and that's into the back of the net! United States, and it's Jimmy Conrad!
Anyway, back to the game at hand. A few weeks ago, City and Liverpool faced off. I'm sure you guys remember it. And if City had lost that game, Liverpool would have had a 10-point lead, but instead City won and ended Liverpool's unbeaten streak, which was a big achievement for them and I think gave them some confidence. But since then, for both clubs, it's been a little up and down, but City now find themselves on top of the game in hand, which really, for me, speaks to the resiliency of their group overall and to their determination to try and retain the title. However, Chelsea are coming off one of their most complete and dominant performances of the season against Huddersfield, and yeah, you're right. It's just Huddersfield, and they're f***ing awful. But confidence is confidence no matter where you get it from, and frankly, Chelsea needed some of that right now, especially since they have yet to win away from home in all competitions since the beginning of 2019, and now they're heading to the Etihad. But they did beat City back at Stamford Bridge in December 2-0, so that has to count for something, especially in the confidence department. And to get back to Higuain for a second, his importance to Chelsea manager Maurizio Sarri cannot be overstated, because he had some of the best moments of his career under Sarri at Napoli. Also, Chelsea are going to be well rested. Since beating Huddersfield on February 2nd, Chelsea have had 8 days of rest, whereas with City, as a comparison, they had to play Arsenal at home on February 3rd, which they won because Arsenal are bad, and then they traveled away from home to take on Everton, which they won too because they're better than Everton, and they just made the plays that made the difference. But you have to think that fatigue is going to factor into this performance. Plus, if you give Maurizio Sarri 8 days to prepare for a game, he is going to figure out a way to beat you. So I initially thought that this game was going to end in one of my favorite predictions, 2-2, but I think I've convinced myself that Chelsea are going to pull it off 2-1. And next up is another fantastic matchup of the weekend. It's the Madrid derby between Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, which, if you're not counting at home, is the 3rd Madrid derby of the season. Now, if you remember, the first time they met was in the UEFA Super Cup, which Atleti smacked them. What did Real Madrid 4-2, which I really feel like was a sign of how poor Madrid were going to be this season, or poor by their standards. And then they drew 0-0 recently in the Bernabeu, so I really feel like Atleti has a slight advantage here, especially since they're hosting the game. However, Atleti have struggled against top 4 opposition in La Liga this season, drawing all 3 of their games. I guess that might not be considered struggling for some people, but given the quality that Atleti has in their team, I kind of do. Plus, they've only scored 32 goals in 22 league games this season, which is the lowest output for any team in the top 4 of La Liga, and it puts a ton of pressure on their defense to be perfect. However, despite all that, they currently find themselves in 2nd place, so maybe the stats don't matter. You either show up and get results when the whistle blows, or you don't, right? And actually, it looks like Real Madrid have been doing a better job of this lately, having won 4 straight games in all competitions before they got a huge 1-1 draw midweek in the Copa del Rey semifinals at the Camp Nou against their biggest rivals, Barcelona, which sets them up nicely to potentially do the business in leg 2. But that's only going to happen. They're only going to beat Barcelona in leg 2 and beat Atleti this weekend if they're top dogs. I'm talking Bale, Kroos, Modric, Marcelo, Benzema play to the height of their ability. But that's no guarantee, because these guys have to be tired. They have played so many games over the last few years and have had so much success, both collectively and individually. It has to be hard to stay up for it, you know, to stay tuned in and focused and to try to make even more history than they've already made. So if I'm doing the math in my head and we take into consideration that Atleti are a little more well-rested, which I think makes a difference, and they're playing at home, which of course makes a difference, but they have a manager who seems to get conservative in big games, And then you factor in Real Madrid's current form and confidence, but they might be a little bit tired too. I'm gonna say they're gonna find a way to draw this 1-1. And now let's talk a little Sassuolo versus Juventus, because no one puts the ass in Sassuolo like Sassuolo does. I don't know if that makes any sense. Kind of like it doesn't make any sense that Juve are struggling right now. They crashed out of the Coppa Italia 3-0 to one of the most entertaining teams in all of Europe right now, Atalanta. And then they gave up a 2-goal lead at home to Parma, which is unacceptable on so many different levels. But why is that? Is it simply because their top defenders are nursing injuries? Or do you think it speaks to something bigger and that they're just getting caught looking ahead to their big matchup against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League? I don't know, maybe it's a combination of both. But regardless, conceding 6 goals in 2 games to technically inferior opposition is never a good look. So I think they're going to struggle again as they try to sort out what's happening with them defensively. But they're not going to lose because they have yet to lose in Serie A all season, because they have that winner's mentality that only comes from being a champion. So I'm going to say 2-2. And now let's head to Germany for a little Bundesliga action between Borussia Dortmund and Hoffenheim. And this game has an added layer of intrigue for me because Dortmund are coming off a pretty tough week. First, they drew away from home against Frankfurt, which allowed their competitors to gain some ground on them at the top of the table. And then midweek, they crash out of the DFB Pokal by losing to Werder Bremen on penalties. But maybe that's for the best. Maybe one less competition for Dortmund to think about will finally allow someone other than Bayern Munich to win the Bundesliga for the first time. They can put all their energy into doing that, kind of like I think Liverpool is doing the same, which is what everybody's hoping for in Germany, right? Maybe even some Bayern supporters, because how f***ing boring would it be to win the league every single season? I'll tell you, f***ing boring. So Bayern should welcome other teams being better, because ultimately it's going to make them sharper. Anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about the visitors, Hoffenheim, who are unbeaten in their last 7 games away from home, winning 4 and drawing 3, which is super impressive, by the way. But Dortmund have won 28 out of a possible 30 points when they're hosting league games at their home stadium. So I feel like the stats are in their favor, but Marco Reus, their captain, is hurt again, because that's what he does. So maybe that will impact them a smidge, possibly, or maybe it won't. I'm going to say Dortmund 3-2. And up next is some other games and storylines I'll be keeping my eyes on this weekend. Do you like my new megaphone? You should, suckers! Like Necaxa versus Chivas Guadalajara in Liga MX, because both of these teams have started brightly this season, and now we'll see which one actually takes that next step and gets the valuable points to keep them in the conversation. And that's really what I love about the league in Mexico in general. And very similar to MLS, it feels like any team can win the league in any season. And then I'll be spying on Athletic Bilbao versus Barcelona. I don't know why I'm pointing at my temples when I'm talking about my eyeballs, but mainly the storyline is Barcelona's tough schedule. They are about to walk into probably the toughest part of their schedule of the whole season. They take on Bilbao, who they always struggle with, either home or away. Then they have Valladolid at home. They should win that. But then it's Lyon in the Champions League, and then Sevilla, and then Real Madrid twice. And I really feel like the results of that game will determine which trophies they're going to win and which ones they're not. And then I'm going to be paying attention to Leeds, because ever since they got caught spying, they have struggled in the championship. And yes, I know they're still in second, but they haven't been playing well. And in contrast to another team that got caught spying, the New England Patriots, they went on to win 3 out of the next 5 Super Bowls after they got caught. And Leeds doesn't seem to be going down that same path. So it'll be very interesting to see how they finish the season. And then I'm going to be watching Monaco. And I don't even know who they're playing. I didn't even look. I just want to see if they can win 2 straight games, which I think they can, because they have their old but new manager, Leonardo Jardim, in for Thierry Henry, who was a bit of a train wreck as a manager. So I'm curious to see if they can keep that momentum going. And then finally, I'll be keeping these things on Inter Milan, who are without a win in their last 4 games. They just crashed out of the Coppa Italia to Lazio, and they've earned only 1 point out of a possible 9 in their last 3 league games. So maybe it's time to bring Jose Mourinho back. I'm just saying. All right, that is it. That is all I got. So thank you for watching. As always, I really appreciate the support. So pick the right score for Manchester City versus Chelsea. And if you get it right, you'll be entered to win some more baller stickers. I'll pick 5 winners. Well, I said last week I was going to pick 5 winners. I ended up picking 20. And if I'm feeling in a good mood, then I'll do that again. So, yeah, that's all I got. I'm done talking. Later.